Hello, welcome to Spread Book Joy. Today I'm going to review Immune by Philipp Dettmer and do some challenges. If you're new to the channel, I'm Jack, and if you're not new, welcome back to Spread Book Joy. If you're not new and you've been around for a little while, you might have noticed that I took part in a read-along for this wonderful book, Immune by Philipp Dettmer, and it was launched by the Tandem Collective, who I have known from Instagram. I've taken part in several of their bookish events before. They do lovely reading events and readathons, and they send you a copy of the book and you take part, and they often have creative challenges or games that you can play along as you do it. So today I'm going to be doing a few of those, and I'm going to be talking to you about this marvellous book. So I hadn't heard of Philipp Dettmer before this read-along was announced, and I do know about him a lot now. He is a really big deal here over on YouTube. He has a YouTube channel with 20 million subscribers, and it's all around science and making science accessible and exciting and visual, and I was all about that because I don't know about you, but I didn't really enjoy science at school. And I really regret that now. I didn't like the teaching of it. It just didn't inspire me, didn't spark any interest in me. And I got sort of high school level science, secondary school level science over here. And then I went on to do more artsy kind of things after, secondary school. So I didn't sort of think about science again until I became a teacher, a primary school teacher. And over here we teach everything. So I teach science to very small children. So my level of science is enough to be able to do that. But it made me massively regret that I didn't do enough or learn enough about science when I was younger. But if it had been taught in this way, I might have been a bit more interested, because this book, it gives so many great analogies, there is humour, but there's a lot of interesting and useful information in this book. As soon as the Tandem Collective contacted me to see if I wanted to take part, and I saw this book, it's just the kind of beautiful non-fiction that I see in schools all the time for young children. And I think non-fiction has become so stunning in its design these days to really capture our imaginations. And all of the artwork within Immune is the artwork that's featured on Philipp Dettmer's channel. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of really complex information about the immune system, and it's really difficult to break it down for laymen to understand, but Philipp Dettmer managed to do a pretty good job of it. And when things did start to get a little bit too complicated, he would always sort of pull it back and say, this is about as complicated as it's going to get, but you need this information to understand what we're about to talk about. So he kind of kept this running commentary going, and sometimes there'll be footnotes saying, actually it's a bit more complicated than this, or blah blah blah, but you don't need to know that for the purposes of this book. So I really appreciated that as someone who was starting to think, well, this might be going over my head. Also, he provides really useful summaries. So his YouTube channel is called In a Nutshell, and he keeps saying, well, in a nutshell, that means this. So these kind of useful breakdowns and summaries at the end of each chapter. So far, this is what we've learned, and fact, which I found really useful. The other thing that kept me engaged was the humour and the analogies that Philipp Dettmer used. Some people who are a bit more scientific than I am might not appreciate that, though we did have a doctor in the group, and she really thought this was a well-written book, and she really engaged with it. So yeah, if you're a science buff, if you're someone who really knows their science, if your background is in science, you may enjoy that, you may not. It might be down to personal preference, I think, but I think it was really engaging for me particularly, and kept me reading through what is really quite a dense topic. Another thing I really appreciated was in the introduction, Philipp Dettmer gives his personal reasons for writing this book and his interest in the immune system, which began at university, and then his own personal events that have happened in his life. He had a severe allergic reaction as an adult and nearly died from it. He also battled cancer. So he said that understanding his immune system and how it was helping to keep his body healthy, and what was going on when these things happened to him, really supported him in appreciating the amazing job that our bodies do. The book's split into 5 sections, and the first section explains what is your immune system, and it does this by also talking about your cells. It explains what your cells are and some different types of cells that we have in our body. And there are specific cells that the immune system uses to fight bacteria and fight viruses and all sorts of things. So one of the challenges I'm going to take now is, which cell are you? So I'm going to do that right now. So here's the quiz. Which immune cell are you? And hopefully you've got this on the screen, so I'm screen recording my iPad while I do this. So, which immune cell are you? On a team, what role do you usually play? I do lots of research so we can reach our goals. I produce tools to help us achieve our goals. I work on details with unparalleled focus. I'm flexible and will do whatever is most needed. I facilitate the team, personally ensuring our success. Well, I kind of do a lot of those things, but I really am into research, so I think I'm probably going to put research. My friends would describe me as multifaceted, a leader, creative, passionate, a problem solver. I think probably a problem solver, I think. What type of traveller are you? I make a record of everything I see and do, whether through social media, journal, regular emails, so others can experience my trip with me as much as possible. Can you imagine? Eek. There's always one or two things I have to see or do no matter what, but if I don't, I may get a bit cross. I'm not that person either. I have a long list of places I want to go to, and I'm diligently checking them off. I prefer to see many places, not spend a ton of time in each. I'm the planner of the group when I travel. I like to book my itinerary with as many things as possible. My trips are more of a whirlwind. I'm not really many of these because I'm generally very easygoing as a traveller. I do like to plan though. I like to know what time we're setting off from here, what we're doing on what day, but that's not to do with liking planning. That's to do with me not being overwhelmed when we travel. So I think I'm going to go for planner. When faced with conflict, what is your go-to response? Implement a multi-pronged comprehensive solution. Keep the big picture in mind, focusing on small details can distract from diffusing the problem. Gather as much information as you can to decide how to proceed. Face it with cool efficiency. Get others' opinions first so you can feel confident. I think I gather as much information as possible. Which activity is a must-do on the weekends? Checking the news I missed during the week. Organising my home, usually leading to donations and recycling. Checking in with friends or family. Working on my hobbies and passions, and trying new recipes. Well, seeing as this is the weekend and I'm doing this, I'm going to say working on my hobbies and passions. Though friends and family, usually I try and see people like friends and family in the week, Friday nights, but weekends is for me. Which career most appeals to you? Politician, archaeologist, engineer, artist, flight attendant. This is interesting because my BA is in archaeology, classical archaeology. So I did want to be an archaeologist once upon a time, so that really appeals to me. But artist also appeals to me. Something I would like to study and do. I'm going to go for artist. Which trait is most important to you? Well, these 5 are all really important, aren't they? Passion, adaptability, confidence, intelligence, resourcefulness. There are things here that I think I definitely have. I'm very passionate about a lot of things. There are things that I'd like to think I am. I like to think I'm fairly intelligent. I would like to be adaptable. That's one thing I struggle with, is adaptability. But I think it's a really amazing thing. I think need to be adaptable. Confidence is something I struggle with. I think resourcefulness is really key here. Because I think if you're resourceful, you can cope with most situations, or you can try and solve most problems. So I think I'm going to go for resourcefulness. What do you bring to the party? Food or drinks? I've got to keep up everyone's energy levels. Myself, what more could they want? Photos from my latest trip. Don't be that person. All the gossip. Games which you'll teach everyone to play. Oh, yeah, I'm the games person. I'm that annoying person. Oh, I'm a dendritic cell. As the secret agent of the immune system, dendritic cells stop at nothing in order to gather valuable enemy intel and bring it back to Immune HQ. You are creative, resourceful and efficient. You love to absorb information and use it to help those around you. That's nice, isn't it? So I learned an awful lot reading this book. So part 1 is all about the cells and the immune system, what it does, what the different cells do. And we also have a part about the skin and the barrier that protects us, and then what happens if our body is breached. And Philipp Dettmer has this brilliant analogy of a battle, and what happens if your body is pierced, like stepping on a nail or something, and the immense battle that takes place at the site of the breach in your skin. It was really fascinating, and there were tons and tons of amazing facts. So challenge number 2 is, what are your 3 dinner party facts? Now I could talk a lot about the facts I learned in immune, but number 1, the first fact is we have an innate immune system that we're born with, and that stops us from immediately dying from absolutely everything trying to invade us all the time. And we have an adaptive immune system which has the potential to fight off and save us from every known and as yet unknown pathogen in the universe. That's right, they call it the biggest library in the universe, which is pretty amazing. And when you're younger and your adaptive immune system is developing, you're much more at risk of dying from things, because your adaptive immune system hasn't learnt particular viruses and things like that. And when you're older, your adaptive immune system, parts of it don't work as well. So that's why older and younger people are much more susceptible to certain diseases and certain viruses and certain bacteria. So the next fact is to do with the adaptive immune system and these molecules that we all have, which we all have quite a unique mix of these molecules called MHC molecules. These molecules will determine whether we can fight off particular viruses. So for instance, during the Black Death, if you had the particular type of molecule that would resist the Black Death, you're more likely to survive it. This is really important for some humanity's collective survival. So evolution has given us a neat trick of being able to smell someone with different MHC molecules to us, because if we produce offspring together and we've got different MHC molecules, our offspring will be doubly protected. So if someone has similar MHC molecules to you, they won't smell as attractive. It's interesting, isn't it? So my third fact is about measles, and it's terrifying, but this is what measles does to you. So the measles virus, what it does is it not only attacks your cells, and it can be really, really dangerous and it can kill you, but if you survive measles, what it does is it completely strips back all the information on everything your body has survived up until that point, so that your immune system forgets that it's immune to certain things, and you can get them again and they will have a really bad impact on you yet again. So all the learning that your adaptive immune system has done by all of the different viruses and things it's fought off and it's learned about, so that it can fight them off again really easily the next time, measles wipes that out in your immune system. So not only does it possibly kill you, leave you with some really bad side effects, it can then also strip your immune system of everything it learned prior to you having the measles. So that was really terrifying. So part 1, we learn all about the immune system. Part 2, we learn about what happens when your skin is cut and breached and how your immune system tries to defend you against bacteria invading. And part 3, we learn about what happens when viruses actually get into your body and bacteria actually gets into your body and succeeds, and what they do to your cells. And there are particular cells in your body that fight back against things when they're attacked. So Philipp Dettmer uses some amazing metaphors and analogies to try and get us to imagine these things. So one of my challenges is to draw one of them, and I'm going to do that right now. This is how Philipp Dettmer explains the difference between how bacteria attack your body and how a virus attacks your body. So this is how they attack your cells. So if you imagine the Battle of Troy from the Iliad, so this is the city of Troy, and in the city of Troy, which you can think of as your body, you've got your all your different parts of your body with different cells living in them. So they're the houses and the people inside of the cells. Okay, so you've got the different cells doing their different jobs. You've got the ones that are like big defenders, you've got these ones that's working away, taking little messages to each other, etc., etc. Outside, we get the arrival of the bacteria, and the bacteria arrive and they want to invade the city of Troy, which is your body. Okay, so bacteria invade. And what they do is, bacteria are not subtle. What bacteria will do is they will send their big warriors running and screaming with swords and with arrows. So let's see, so flaming arrows here, and they'll attack you, and they'll run around screaming in front of the wall, and if they breach it, they'll run in screaming and they'll invade, and they're big and loud. Then your cells will send out their biggest warriors, and their biggest warriors will scream and carry on and charge around, and they might set fire to their own walls just to get these guys away from their walls. So they'll fire arrows back and they'll fight, etc., etc. So there's a big battle going on here. A virus, however, is a little bit sneakier. And what a virus will do is it'll be a bit cleverer, and instead of running screaming at the walls, it will try and invade quietly. So we get our Trojan horse situation. So here's our Trojan horse, and inside we have our sneaky virus, and several of them. And what they'll do is they'll try and get into the cells and attack them and kill them inside before the immune system realizes what's happened and deploys anything. So they'll sneak into each of the houses, they'll kill that one, kill it, and they'll take it over, and then they'll go to the next one, kill it, and take it over. And before your immune system suddenly realizes it's being taken over, the virus has already snuck into so many of your cells. And that is why a virus is super, super clever, because it tries to avoid the innate immune system and sneak in like a sneaky spy. At least I hope that's how I've explained it very well. This is an absolutely terrible drawing, but there we go. There's my drawing of that analogy. Creative challenge number 4 is, who is immune the perfect gift for? I think it's pretty much a perfect gift for a lot of people. Personally though, I think it would be perfect for someone like me who has a sort of high school level of science at best, who wants to know more about their body, because I think it explains it in a really accessible, manageable way, but without dumbing it down. So yeah, I think it's a really good book for someone who's interested, who doesn't have a scientific background. But actually I think it'd be a perfect gift for anybody who's interested in their immune system, and who wouldn't be, because it's an amazing system. So challenge number 5 is to film a reaction to a Kurzgesagt video. So I've got the channel up here on my screen, so I'm just going to go through and see what tickles my fancy. Oh, the horror of the slaver ant. This one will freak me out. Anything with sort of things taking over your body freaks me out. Terraforming Mars with lasers. Some fascinating videos on here. Absolutely. My goodness. See what I mean about the amazing illustration style on here? Optimistic nihilism. That sounds interesting in itself. What if we detonated all nuclear bombs at once? How to make an elephant explode. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What happens if we throw an elephant from a skyscraper? I'm kind of tempted to watch that one. How bacteria rule over your body, the microbiome. That kind of fits in with what we've been talking about, doesn't it? Optimistic nihilism. I'm going to go for it.
Human existence is scary and confusing. A few 100,000 years ago, we became conscious and found ourselves in a strange place. It was filled with other beings. We could eat some could eat us. There was liquid stuff we could drink, things we could use to make more things.
It's really pretty.
The daytime sky had a tiny yellow ball that warmed our skin. The night sky was filled with beautiful lights.
This kind of reminds me of the origin story in the start of Watership Down. Has anyone ever seen that film? I love that old film, but there's like an origin story for rabbits, and it kind of reminds me of that a little bit, like the style of it.
Place was obviously made for us. Something was watching over us. We were home. This made everything much less scary and confusing. But the older we got, the more we learned about the world and ourselves. We learned that the twinkling lights are not shining beautifully for us, they just are. We learned that we're not at the centre of what we now call the universe, and that it is much, much older than we thought. We learned that we're made of many little dead things, which make up bigger things that are not dead for
like
some reason.
Skin's all
and
dead.
that we're just another temporary stage in a history going back over 1 billion years. We learned, in all, that we live on a moist speck of dust moving around a medium-sized star in a quiet region of one arm of an average galaxy, which is part of a galaxy group that we will never leave. And this group is only one of thousands that together make up a galaxy supercluster. But even our supercluster is only one in thousands that make up what we call the observable universe. The universe might be 1 million times bigger, but we will never know. We could throw words.
Yeah, I love that. There's a really excellent description of how big the universe is in Bill Bryson's book, Short History of Everything, but this is so visual. It's like we are a tiny speck moving around a medium-sized sun in a galaxy. That was really good.
Around like 200 billion galaxies, or trillions of stars, or bazillions of planets, but all of these numbers mean nothing. Our brains can't comprehend these concepts. The universe is too big. There is too much of it.
Very big.
But size is not the most troubling concept we have to deal with. It's time, or more precisely, the time we have. If you're lucky enough to live to 100, you have 5,200 weeks at your disposal. If you're 25 now, then you have 3,900 weeks left. If you're going to die at 70, then there are 2,340 weeks left. A lot of time, but also not really.
Not a lot.
And then what? Your biological processes will break down, and the dynamic pattern that is you will stop being dynamic. It will dissolve until there is no you left. Some believe that there is a part of us we can't see or measure, but we have no way to find out. So this life might be it, and we might end up dead forever. This is less scary than it sounds, though. If you don't remember the 13.75 billion years that went by before you existed, then the trillions and trillions and trillions of years that come after will pass in no time once you're gone. Close your eyes. Count to 1.
1.
That's how long forever feels. And as far as we know, in the end, the universe itself will die and nothing will ever change again. Our videos induce existential dread in many people, and the last few minutes probably haven't helped. So for once we want to offer a different way of looking at these things. An unscientific, subjective point of view. The philosophy of Kurzgesagt, if you want. Please take it with a grain of salt. We don't know any more about human existence than you do. We counter existential dread with optimistic nihilism.
Okay.
What do we mean by that? Well, to summarise, it seems very unlikely that 200 trillion stars have been made for us. In a way, it feels like the cruelest joke in existence has been played on us. We became self-aware, only to realise this story is not about us. While it is great to know about electrons and the powerhouse of the cell, science doesn't do a lot to make this less depressing. Okay, but so what? You only get one shot at life, which is scary, but it also sets you free. If the universe ends in heat death, every humiliation you suffer in your life will be forgotten. Every mistake you made will not matter in the end. Every bad thing you did will be voided. If our life is all we get to experience, then it's the only thing that matters. If the universe has no principles, the only principles relevant are the ones we decide on. If the universe has no purpose, then we get to dictate what its purpose is. Humans will most certainly cease to exist at some point. But before we do, we get to explore ourselves and the world around us.
I think that's pretty amazing, actually.
Feelings. We get to experience food, books, sunrises, and being with each other. The fact that we're even able to think about these things is already kind of incredible. It's easy to think of ourselves as separated from everything, but this is not true. We are as much the universe as a neutron star, or a black hole, or a nebula. Even better, actually, we are its thinking and feeling part, the sensory organs of the universe. We are truly free in a universe-sized playground. So we might as well aim to be happy and to build some kind of utopia in the stars. It's not as if we found out everything there is to know. We don't know why the rules of the universe are as they are, how life came into existence, what life is. We have no idea what consciousness is, or if we are alone in the universe. But we can try to find some answers. There are billions of stars to visit, diseases to cure, people to help, happy feelings to be experienced, and video games to finish. There is so much to do. So, wrapping up, you've probably used up a good chunk of the time available to you. If this is our one shot at life, there is no reason not to have fun and live as happily as possible. Bonus points if you make the life of other people better. More bonus points if you help build a galactic human empire. Do the things that make you feel good. You get to decide whatever this means for you.
I really like that. That was a really, really good video. Clearly, when I started watching it, I thought for a second it was probably a bad one to pick, but it did make me think. It did make me stop and think about how I'm spending my time, what I'm doing, and I thought it was beautifully produced, didn't you? So this is probably going to be a really long video, doing the challenges and doing the review in between, but I hope it has made you think about picking up this book. I really, really enjoyed Immune by Philipp Dettmer. I've already got a friend who wants to borrow it from me, and I'm going to be watching far more of those videos. I think they're brilliantly produced, very funny, and really, really thought-provoking, which is the main thing. So, if you are interested in reading Immune, let me know in the comments below. Did you find any of the facts interesting? Is it something that you think you would be interested in reading or buying for someone? And would you be interested in watching In a Nutshell, Kurzgesagt in a Nutshell, which I'm finally learning how to pronounce. And if you have not been here before and you like this video, please consider subscribing, and hopefully I'll see you again here soon. Bye!